these videos are sort of going to be made for people who, I don't know, want to learn about cars or drifting or JDM cars, like, you know, guys that are in for Need for Speed Underground 2, or all that early stuff when we first started your first project car and then gave up, sold it, all that kind of stuff. And then this is sort of just revisiting it and showing how I'm gonna do it as a much later adult. Because I still enjoy YouTube videos that sort of show me how to do this stuff, even though I don't usually do it. Like Pizza Mike, he took a 240SX from just complete trash, like a completely written off car, but he fixed it. And I was like, oh, that's exactly what this thing has been about, is that everyone says you can't do stuff, but you probably can. Just if you're gonna do it as a profession, probably do like a better job. That would be great. And then I still watch a lot of Rob Dahm, and Rob Dahm is sort of like I wouldn't want to say backyard mechanic anymore. Well, he's not even a backyard mechanic, but he's a mechanic turned engineer who wants to understand shit. And so I have a hard time, like, I'm not buying parts, like I'm figuring out what wire connects to what to make this shit work. Like, I'm not spending money on it. And then I would have given up, well, I've given up multiple times on it, but Project Binky is this another YouTube series that goes really into depth, but is filmed really good, about just building a one-off car, or just building the car you want. But their project is now, I think, at 11 years. Like, I think they started Project Binky before I had this car. And you know what? Like, I still love watching their shit. So I'm sort of just transporting myself back, way back in time, to when it was my first project, and something I fully intended to do. Just life gets in the way. And so its inspiration came from things like, I don't know if it was Mark Webb. He was a BMXer. Oh, still is a BMXer. And he did some drifting. Like, lots of the BMXers, as they got older and stopped going to the skate park so much, sort of turned into, there's a group that sort of got into cars. It kind of looks like there's this place in Japan called Ibisu that it looks like a skate park for your car. Like, it looks like the exact vibes. Like, there's no real rules. Well, there are rules, but, you know, it's just going and having fun with the homies. And it's something I've always wanted to do. Unfortunately, it's like impossibly expensive. But it doesn't mean just like riding my bike. Like, I don't know, I don't have a 13-foot half pipe. I can still go ride a curb. So this is how I've came across this. And so early on, there were some videos like that was sort of like crossover, but there's one in particular called Driveway Drift by Deadbeats. And it was this 240SX that was just all fun colors. And it wasn't on a race course, it was just in a driveway. But it looked so fun. It looked so fun that I was like, yo, I have to do that. And yeah, life happens. maybe you don't get to do that. But I have done it on a few occasions and stuff like that. It's just never a sustainable use of resources. But I kind of have the vibe again. Like, I've been playing some video games, and, you know, there's low power drift cars that look like low power Ae86 Corollas, and I realize I'm just making replicas of what I kind of have. And I'm like, I'm not consistent, but you know what? I could put some energy into this thing, into trying to get it driving and running, and maybe I just do donuts in my backyard. But it's not my backyard, so I don't know. Because obviously I drove it around like this, and you can't do that in society. Things need to be safe. And so obviously I can no longer drive it on the road without a huge amount of work. And the plan is to convert it back into something that could be on the road. I know that's like crazy and impossible, but it doesn't have to be financially viable as a reselling asset. It has to be something I'm gonna have fun with. And I'm not making a concourse Barrett Jackson thing. you know, that's gonna go sell and I'm gonna make so much money off of it. No, I want to go have fun with my car. This just happens to be the car, and it came from a time when these were what was affordable. It's not like that anymore, and if I was gonna do it today, I'd do it way different, but I already have these things, so I'm just gonna continue to do what I've been doing. And then I've always had this thing called Ride Projects. That's just like a stencil where I do sort of the exact same thing. Like, it's more of an artistic outlet. Artistic, acoustic. Anyways, that it just gives me sort of a common theme to do all my shit with, and gives me an excuse instead of writing my name, which seems weird. You know, it's like, oh no, this is for Ride Projects, and it gives me an out to go work on shit, because I realized I was just, when I'd make decals, I just make decals of all my friends' companies and stuff like that, and like, you know, I don't know, like suspension, like, I don't know, Bliston or whatever, or AEM, like, none of those things mean anything to me. Like, they're cool, but that's not really my social economic class, if I was going to go off the Richter scale. But you know, I care about my friends, so there'd be things like Bad for Life or Rap Media, or, you know, I'd make those decals of all those cars, but of just things that I support and things that are cool, just like my bike. You know, I'm not putting, I don't know, a Haro sticker on my bike. I don't know who Haro is, you know, like, maybe be Odyssey. I like Odyssey parts. I'll rep their sticker, you know, or my local shop. Like, that means to me. That means stuff to me. And so that's sort of my excuse to be able to build a car that represents those things as my local community, or the things that, like, I want to go have fun with, and I like your stuff. So obviously there's not a lot of sponsors, but it takes lots of influence from things that I think are cool. But it's also, what I like in styling is dirty and gross and raccoonish and gnarly. And I always hated how, like, Bear Jackson is like the perfect example of, there could be two Camaros next to each other. One has, they have the same options, except for one has a, I don't know, automatic transmission and the smaller motor. And the other one happens to have, I don't know, the option of a convertible, which makes no sense to have the biggest engine anyways. One's worth, like, I don't know, $800,000, and one's worth like $70,000, but both are like untouchable. The guy with the $70,000 one is stressed. He's trying to make so much money because he can sell this because it's worth it. And it's like, those cars don't get used. That's like having a bicycle or a skateboard that just hangs on the wall, which is cool. Like, I'm not against it. It's just not what I do. Like, I like when I don't care about my paint or big power or whatever. Like, I'd like all of those things. Like, that's definitely like a cop-out. Like, I would love a shiny paint job and a LS T56 Magnum in a, I don't know, Panda wide body 240 hatch, but, like, that's not what's gonna happen. So I can either just not do anything, or try to work with the shit I have, with the tools I have, with the time I have. And so I think I'm just gonna try to document it as best as I can. And maybe it'll be entertaining, maybe it won't be entertaining. Maybe this is just way too much of like a rambling, or maybe I need to get technical. I don't really know how I'm gonna split up videos, but I'm gonna at least try with this project to show you what I'm up to. And right now, it has been stuck for the last few months on, I need to get piano wire. I'm sure there's other solutions, but I need to cut out this windshield, because the windshield needs to be good for it to ever have a chance of becoming street legal again. And so once I have the window in, then I can probably permit it and drive it to some friends' places. And just like when you're getting your wheels trued with a homie, like, just try to figure some stuff out. And I think I want to document it. it might take forever, but man, it is what it is. You know, so I might do some more videos, maybe explaining some of the decisions, explaining some of the engineering that I've some of the shit I've done, some of the crimes I've committed against this car. But it should do donuts after, and that's like kind of cool, and that's the first sort of step of doing something cool. Oh, and I wanted to show, like, it can be kind of fun. It's just like, I didn't know how stencils worked, and like, my shit's all has a floating part, so I glued some paper clips to sort of make that floating center so it could work as a stencil. But that's what's fun, is like, I actually like this car, believe it or not, like, but it's just for fun. It's not supposed to be taken too seriously, and you can kind of just do fun shit, and that's there now. And I have to fix anything anyways, so like, who cares, right? And so, yeah, this is Rye Projects Trash Panda, and hopefully it's going to drift around, and maybe I'll bring you guys along.